In this video, you will learn how to prepare for a final or a midterm. In fact, this skill is so frequently tested, but we're not often taught how to prepare for a final and how to prepare for a midterm. My name is Katya Sieberson. I am the inventor of the Sieberson method, a scientifically proven way to learn anything fast. Let me show you how I prepare for a final or a midterm. Let's get started. It's amazing to me how often students get tested on their ability to learn and study a large amount of information, and how infrequently are they taught to do this. Now, how many times have you taken a final? How many times have you really applied yourself and studied, and what do you get? Like a B minus, or maybe a B minus is a good grade for you. Maybe you got a D or an F, something that you did not expect or something you did not feel like you deserve. Chances are it's not about you not being able to take tests. It's more about you not being able to prepare for tests. And preparing for a quiz is absolutely different from preparing for a final. So let's play out the scenario. The best way I know how to teach is to show an example. So let's pretend that we have an exam on a Tuesday, and we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to prepare for this exam. First, we want to begin by showing you how not to study for this exam. And then we will show you how to study. First, we will begin on a Friday night. We will begin by gathering all of the material. Believe it or not, so many students skip this step. It's just something that they don't think about. If you have a test or a final or a midterm coming up, make sure that you have all of the materials. On a Friday evening, I want you to get a dedicated folder. And if you're all electronic, you can definitely get a folder on your computer. But if you're like physical material, I want you to get a physical folder. And I want you to put in that folder, I want you to put all of the information that will go on that final. So if you were taking notes throughout your lectures, then I want you to take those pages and then rip them out and insert them into that folder. I want you to rip out the pages, put them in the folder. Also, sometimes throughout lectures, there are printouts. Maybe there are sheets and labs that the professor gave out. You want to put all of this into that folder. So by the end of Friday night, your folder has to be pretty thick. It should look something like this. And additionally, maybe you have some flashcards, maybe you've studied something. All of this that will appear on this exam has to go inside of this folder. I call this step gathering all the materials. Another important component of this, perhaps you missed a class and you weren't there. Your job on Friday or by Friday to get the notes, to get the printouts, to get the lab work, all of the stuff that you need for the exam, get it into that folder so it is in there. So many of my students, before they work with me, they skip this step. Another important component of this step is you want to reach out to your teacher and you want to reach out to your professor to ask them for a practice test. Is there a study guide? And if they do, definitely take advantage of it. So many of my students, when they tell me that there's an exam coming up, I ask them, well, how are you going to be tested? The answer, crickets. I ask more clarifying question like, would that be a truth and false or a multiple choice or an open-ended question? Usually the answer is like, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? you are required to know, or the professor or the teacher rather, is required to inform you about the way you will be tested. The way you will be tested determines the way you will study. If you have a multiple choice, it changes the way you will study for the exam. Not a lot of people know that, so I guess for that reason, they don't ask that question. So when you're gathering information, make sure if you can meet with your teacher or your professor, get on a meeting with them and bring your folder. Show them this is what is going to be covered. Everything in chapter 3, right? We will go from this topic to this topic. And then you would want us to do this and this. Make sure that the professor and you are on the same page. This is a complete game changer. This is especially for someone who's going after the top grades. And I think that if you guys are watching this video, it's not because you're looking to just kind of get away with the D's. You are looking to excel. You are looking for a better way. So this is for advanced students, but make sure you meet with the teacher, you meet with the professor, and you kind of show them that you've done the prep work. You show them that you are aware of what exactly is going to be covered. And if you have a textbook, make sure that the pages from the textbook are either copied, or if you have a digital one, you print them out and you also include them into your folder. So this all is happening on a Friday evening. It seems like, well, that's it? You don't want me to start studying? Not yet. I want you to be very thorough about your information gathering and collecting all the material, and the studying will begin on Saturday. So now we're in a Saturday morning. When you wake up, I want you to look at your folder. I want you to look at your notebook. I want you to look at the pages in your chapter. And I want you to make a decision. I want you to decide how long will you spend preparing for this exam. I know, it's a little counterintuitive. What do you mean? I don't know. How long will it take me? Maybe it'll take me 75 hours. Do you have 75 hours until Tuesday? You don't. I want you to take a look at your calendar, and I want you to decide how long do you have and how important this exam for you. How long are you willing to spend preparing for this exam? Make this decision. Let's make a decision that I will spend 6 hours. Not 6 hours of watching YouTube videos or 6 hours of kind of learning, kind of studying, but also kind of chatting with my friend on Snapchat and looking at my Instagram feed. 6 hours of focused work for this much material and 2 chapters in this book. 6 hours spread out between Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Remember, my exam is on Tuesday. After I've decided that I'm going to spend 2 hours today, I'm going to start my Pomodoro and I'm going to start studying. Here's how I'm going to start doing it. By the way, when you study, make sure you study at a table. Even if you're studying somewhere that's very comfortable, just make sure that you are studying at a surface. Like right now, I'm actually sitting at a couch. I don't know if you guys could see, but I have this table in front of me and all I see is my study material. The bad way to study is, I'm going to demonstrate right now. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see, but hope you are. And I'm going to move over this table. A wrong way to study is that. If you're sitting upright, even if as long as you're sitting on your bed, you're not studying the correct way. Here's the deal. When your eyes can see your feet, you're entering something that's called body awareness. When you're studying and you're studying intensely, you don't want to be in your body awareness. You don't want to be thinking about, do I want to go to the bathroom? Am I hungry? I'm tired. I want to scratch. I want to go to, I need coffee. That's what I need. You don't want to be in any of your body's awareness. You want to be in your mind awareness. So for some people, it's really doesn't matter whether they can see themselves or not. But for most brains, it's really important that they hide their body behind a desk. So for the most part, I make this general recommendation of when you're studying for an exam, make sure that you're sitting at a desk that is not transparent, because for some of you guys, this surface is glass so that you could still see your feet. Make sure that you cannot see yourself, or you're not sitting somewhere where there's a big mirror in front and you see your own reflection, because it will be, again, very easy to enter this body awareness. Now, let's go and take it just one step further. When I set the timer for 25 minutes, and I know that I'm going to have 3 more of these because I decided to study for 2 hours, what is it that I do? And it's not something that you would think. By the way, water is great when you're studying. Make sure you have some with you. Absolutely love just warm water. Oh. I'm weird, I know. So what you want to do is you want to look at the material. Let's say I'm going to start reading this chapter, chapter 9, thinking critically about moral issues. And the first segment that I see is called What is Ethics? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to write this question in a form of a question. What is ethics? And then I'm going to continue scanning my pages, and I see another question. Who is a moral person? Guess what? I'm going to put this. Who is a moral person? Moral courage. They give me an explanation of a moral courage. Chances are this will probably be on the test. What is a moral courage? Next question. As you can tell, I'm scanning the book and I'm looking for terms that are bolded or maybe in italics, and I'm looking to turn these statements into questions. What are my moral issues, or what are my moral values? Oh God. The next thinking activity says, what are my moral values? My next question that goes on the outside of my folder. What are my moral values? Next question. The next subtitle says, your moral compass. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this into a question. What is my moral compass? I would follow my conscience. I would follow my conscience. Would I follow my conscience? What is my conscience? What is that about? I do not know what I would do. I would do whether I would improve my own situation. I would do what? No, I would not do that. Let's just skip it. The next thinking activity is analyzing moral dilemmas. What are moral dilemmas? As you're noticing probably that I'm not really studying. I'm not sitting here reading and trying to memorize anything. I am actually creating a miniature test for myself. So the first 25 minutes, I'm going to go very quickly through all of the materials, all the printouts, all the pages in my notes, and I'm going to turn those into a quiz. Depending on how difficult the exam is, sometimes I cover this whole page, sometimes I cover the insides of the folder, and then I even go as far as to the outside. Sometimes in 25 minutes, sometimes it takes me longer, because if this is a final and there's a lot of information. I remember I did this when I was studying accounting, and there were so many different formulas and tricks, and when you see this is what's going to happen. So just cover up your folder with questions. If it's going to take a whole Saturday, don't worry about it. By looking at the material and by the whole fact of creating these questions, you begin a phenomenal process in your brain. You begin priming your brain for learning, and you begin to start to get very curious about this material. You start to get interested. What are moral dilemmas? I bet you are now wondering what the answers to these questions are. Unless you already know, unless you've taken this exam already. But now you are becoming curious. Instead of just like, oh, I have to learn this, I don't know how much more I have. Now you actually have a complete picture. And if you have to spend the whole Saturday making these questions, and if these questions are very detailed. So for example, here I have thinking activity, analyzing moral dilemmas. The following dilemmas ask you to respond with decisions based on moral reasoning. After thinking carefully about each situation, do the following. Describe the decision that you would make in the situation, explain why. Identify the moral values and principles on which you base your decisions. At the conclusion of this activity, compare moral values that you used. Here they have the lifeboat, the whistleblower, the mad bomber, the patient, the friend. Chances are my professor or my teacher would ask me to give an example depending on the way I'm going to be tested. If the test is going to be an open-ended question, chances are I will have to use one of these examples, and I would probably be getting extra points for using the whistleblower, using the mad bomber. So I'm going to turn these stories into questions. What was the lifeboat story? Lifeboat story. What was the deal with the whistleblower? By just making these questions, I'm making a tremendous change in my brain. My brain's actually now getting interested. So remember how we talked about a review and we talked about different flashcards and different ways to set up your flashcards? Remember that we talked about how putting the question and the answer at the same time is not very effective? This is a similar concept, but on a larger scale. Here you put all of your questions. You collect these questions. You need to create these questions for yourself so that you can study from these questions. I have students who spend the whole Saturday just creating these questions, and then on Sunday they just go and answer them. Boom, 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 boom. And learning is so much easier. So now let's talk about what is it that you're going to do on a Sunday. So now we're in a Sunday. Remember what we did on Saturday? We created a test. Now that you have the test, you are going to study. And also remember, we made a strong decision that we will only spend 6 hours studying for this exam. So perhaps we spent an hour on a Saturday. Today, we're going to spend 3 hours. At the most, I think a human being can focus for 4 hours continuously, but then you require strong determination and structure. You need to be going 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break. So today we are going to study for 3 hours. How are we going to spend all this time? Well, we will set the timer for 25 minutes and we will begin answering these questions. What is ethics? What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my notes. I'm going to open up the printout and I'm going to open up my textbook and I'm going to formulate my own answer to the question, what is ethics? Depending on your learning style, some of you may want to just reread it and then say it out loud and kind of mentally rehearse that. Some of you would prefer to make a flashcard that gives you a bullet point of all of the right answers. Some of you would prefer to just reread the notes, but here is the key part. You must be able to just look at these questions and answer them out loud in complete sentences with your notes closed. Let me say it again. The way you know that you're done is that when this folder is facing you this way, when everything is closed, and you can answer the question that you wrote out loud in complete sentences with your notes closed, you know the answer. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to put a plus next to that question. On to the next question. What is a moral person? Again, I'm going to try to find an answer. If I can't find an answer in the resources that are available to me, maybe I can email a friend, ask a professor. YouTube is always available. Now, I'm going to put a plus. When I can give you an answer out loud, complete sentences with my notes closed, I got it. Here's what you're going to do today for 3 hours. Don't forget to keep yourself hydrated. Don't forget to use some aromatherapy in between your Pomodoro sessions. So don't do this during a Pomodoro. Do it during your break. When you're focused, you're going at it. You're focused. You're not checking your phone. Your phone may not even be in the same room with you. When you're studying, you can accomplish so much. Now, on Sunday, before falling asleep, what you want to do is you want to go through these questions, and the ones that have a plus next to it, perhaps you have so much work, the 3 hours, that's not enough for you to study all the material. Maybe only half of your questions get answered. Before falling asleep, you take that folder with you and you try to answer these questions again. What does that do? That strengthens the muscle of retrieval. Again, you're not trying to simply reread the questions. You're not just flipping through your notes. I got this. I know this. No, the same concept that we had with flashcards. You want to practice retrieving something from memory. And the more you try to do this, the stronger this ability will become. So when you do get the question of what is a moral person on the exam, whether you're asked to answer through multiple choice, through false, through a written answer or an oral answer, you are ready. You have practiced this many times. Now, when you are doing it in a group, if it's a group study, even better, because you guys all have these questionnaires, and then you can just keep asking yourself. You get the second question, I get the fourth question, and then you can listen what others say. Perhaps you can take some of those things and add them to your answers. This is a fantastic tool. So make sure you have your water, make sure you have your Pomodoro clock, make sure you have your essential oils. If you don't know how to use them yet, make sure you watch the essential oils video, and you're on your way, and just review before falling asleep on a Sunday. Now we're on to Monday. And now we're in a Monday. Remember how we said we're only going to study for 6 hours? We're going to honor this decision. We have 2 hours left today. We spent 1 hour on the Saturday, 3 hours on the Sunday, 2 more hours. So I want you to find those 2 hours in your calendar and get to work. Your Monday work will look a lot like your Sunday work, because you will keep putting pluses next to the questions that you've answered. But the questions that you answered on a Monday will have a circle. So it's going to have a plus and a circle. So these questions you answered on Sunday. These questions you answered on Monday. So these questions you answered today. Now, I want you to give me about an hour for a complete review. So you only have an hour to get answers to the second portion of your questions. Now, after you've gathered all of the answers, and you can point to any of these questions, and you can give me a solid answer out loud in complete sentences with your notes closed, it's time to do an overview overhaul. What you want to do is, I like to study in groups, and I like study groups because I can use this. I can use the magic ball. What you want to do is you want to ask a question of your partner or somebody in your study group, throw them the ball, and they will be required to answer. Then as they answer, you're also thinking about your answer. How does it match? Are they saying what they're saying is true? And then what they do is they're holding the ball, and now they get a chance to come up with a question and throw this ball to someone else. If you have more people in the group, but if it's just the two of you, you guys don't have any notes on you, and what you do is you just ask the question and you wait for another person to answer. If they're struggling, you're helping them, or perhaps you're not sure about how to answer the question, so you want to know if your friend knows how to answer it. So this interactive part is a complete game changer in my opinion. But what do you do if you don't have somebody to study with? Not a problem. I call it a blank sheet of paper challenge. Remember how we have all of these questions right here? I want you to take out a blank sheet of paper. And if you have this side untouched, definitely use this other side. Rewrite all the questions from memory, and as you're rewriting the questions, I want you to also say the answer out loud in complete sentences with your notes closed. This is a really advanced technique. I call it the blank sheet technique, where you not only have to pull the answers from your brain, you also have to pull the questions from your brain. And then as you open, you will see the questions that you created and the questions you remember exist, and the questions that you remember the answer to. So I want you to take this up a notch if you are willing to give it a shot. And this is how you complete your prep on Monday. Obviously, before falling asleep, you're going to look here and you're going to cherry pick 5 or 6 different questions from this area, which means this was learned on a Sunday a day ago, so that you can reinforce this knowledge. And on Monday, you're going to go to sleep at an appropriate time so that you can give yourself at least 7 hours of sleep before you head over and take your exam. Make sure you drink plenty of water in the morning and go and get that A and go and get that 99th percentile. Let me know how it goes for you. Let me know what your take is on my perspective for getting a perfect score and getting a perfect exam. Also, let me know what exam you're preparing for. Are you studying for a standardized test, or is it a certification that you're up against? And I'm really happy to share my insights of how I've used this technique and helped people get through medical boards, through bar exam, through real estate certification. We've used it on anything and it works. We also even did it on a FINRA exam, which is a financial certification. We used it with programmers. It works like a charm, but you have to do it. You have to do the 25-minute intervals, and you have to make this decision. This is the time I'm going to spend on studying, and I'm going to honor my word. I hope this helped you guys. Leave me a comment, and don't forget, every month, one lucky commenter, if you're working on an exam and you feel like there's something that we could help you with, I'm happy to meet with you at the office or get with you on an online call. So leave a comment below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.